Hello and welcome to a lovely Friday morning with the Smite Challenger Circuit. J. Mac Tucker with me, Alpha Jackal, Tiburones de Tijuana, and the Winter Dogs. Alpha Jackal, we talked a little bit about this set before everything went down, and this looks like this is supposed to be a really important set for both of these teams.
Yeah, Tiburones de Tijuana, they're looking to try and challenge for that first seed alongside the Sturdy Artisans. Need the win here and then need to win next week as well up against the Sturdy Artisans to have a chance of securing that first seed. Meanwhile, down at the other end of the table, Winter Dogs, they need to win this set and then they come up with a monumental Week 10 matchup against Average Joes. You can see 4th and 5th there respectively. 4th gives them a chance to qualify for the play-in LAN. Meanwhile, the 5th and the 6th seed, they'll have to go contend with relegation. So huge implications here for the Winter Dogs if they don't win this set.
Yeah, and as you can see by the standings, 7-1 to 2-6. Tiburones de Tijuana, they looked pretty good last week, getting a nice 2-0 victory over the Fishies to secure themselves, most likely 100% secure that second seed for themselves. And I mean, it's with no surprise. This team has been on fire ever since their first week of play. And a lot of it feels like it is off the back of Cope. He's been making some big moves in the jungle for his team.
Yeah, we can't forget about the fact that Guy J's over in the ADC position. Got some good highlights of him here. Just able to handle himself in the lane. Doesn't need the assistance that some other ADCs do. And just able to really find 2v1s, find even 3v1s on some occasions.
Yeah, I mean, right now, this whole team is looking exceptional. I mean, we'll talk about, Guy J, we'll talk about Cope, baby, but really, this team as a whole, just has it all together where even last week against the Fishies had some strong moments, but it felt like they just fell apart when the later stage of the game come. The Sharks, however, they just get better as time goes on. Bluegan is the glue that holds them together in the late game team fights, always playing these more defensive style Guardians for his team to make sure he can really be that synergistic, kind of front line that this team needs in order to allow his carries to kind of just shove themselves into the enemy team.
Yeah, their team fights definitely stand out as their strongest point, which sort of leads me to believe that if they come up against the Winter Dogs here, that they could come a little bit unstuck. Winter Dogs, certainly that team that pushes their advantage of the early game as much as possible, constantly goes for invades, constantly look to try and play on the aggressive front foot, picks early game aggressive lane winning compositions, and if your strength is the team fights and therefore your weakness is the laning phase, Winter Dogs could look to exploit that here.
Yeah, and this is probably the team that can exploit. When you look at the roster for the Winter Dogs, you would think that it would be one of the top-seeded teams with players like Wowie, with players like Benny Q and Andenster on there, and Aquarius. These are big names, so this is no slouch of a team to be going up against. The problem is they just don't seem to have it all together when the fighting comes down. It does feel like their laning phase is their strongest, and maybe that's where they abuse this Tijuana Sharks team.
Yeah, last week they did have a little bit of a role swap, Anderson going into support and Gamma going into the jungle. Be interesting to see if they keep that for this week or if they go resort back to their default roles. But you see, they picked early game aggressive gods here again. You see the Athene, you see the Ares, the Guan Yu. It's all about this synergistic team fight of constant prot, shred, and CC, but just a bit disjointed when it actually comes to putting it all to place.
Yeah, it feels like they're playing all of each other's game. They're all playing these individual games, which is why their laning phase works out so well. But when it comes to this late game, it just seems that they can't really hold it all together. And against the Sharks, you've got to have a strong team fight because that's what they want. They want to waste your first 25, 30 minutes of gameplay, get that one fight at the Fire Giant, and then from there, they just seem to steamroll out of control. And with this 2-6 so far on their standings, the Winter Dogs have been unsuccessful in being able to close out that late game. But we'll see what they can do here in the drafts. Picks and bans for Game 1 underway.
Now, Winter Dogs, they get choice, and they take first pick here up against the Sharks. Going to immediately look to ban away the Scylla. Not a usual ban against the Sharks here. You see the top SCC bans, 39% ban rate on that Scylla, so surprised to see it as a first ban here from the Winter Dogs. Maybe they're just sort of still uncomfortable playing against the safety and the damage that it brings in that team fight stage.
And along with that Scylla, we are seeing the Ymir and the Athena. Ymir still, I think we've moved well beyond the flavor pick of Ymir, and he is still now that top tier guardian you've got to take off the map. The Athena as well with her rise after her buffs in recent patches, and Sobek also taken off the table. No surprise, North America really loves this Sobek pick, and seeing it taken off the table is absolutely, completely warranted.
The Sharks are banning away the Athena sub. I can see him out probably the top 3 gods in the game right now, and then Tsukuyomi, for my money, the 4th best god, all taken off the table. So we're going to be seeing some more flex pick potentials early on. The Soul definitely fits that bill for the Winter Dogs. Can go into the mid lane, can go into ADC position. So you might look to see them hold on to their pick of either mid or ADC just to have that flexibility until the 4th, 5th pick.
Oh, I was almost going to say, wow, a Ratatoskr, and then I remember we're watching Tiburones, and this is just such a common pick for them. It has enough flexibility to where you don't know 100% where it's going, but you can almost safely assume that this is going on Cope. This has kind of been his go-to jungler for the last few weeks of play, and I love seeing him pick this up. Now with the King Arthur locked in, this kind of solidifies that this is going over to Cope. But AJ, going back over to this Soul pick, is it just the fact that we saw her once in the SPL that's bringing these players to bring it, or is Soul just, is this just the re-rise of the Mage Hunters?
It's a slight renaissance of the Mage Hunters, with crit being slightly nerfed, especially with Ornate Arrow being, sort of dead in the water to most ADC's eyes. You're starting to see them flex a bit more into sort of ability-based hunters, like the Chiron, and if you have those ability-based hunters, you sort of still want something that can deal consistent damage with their basic attacks, which is why you're starting to see some mages go more towards the Soul, and the Chronos can be picked up. Olorun, I'm still waiting to see a pick or two from, but Soul does give good teamfight pressure, still fills out sort of a mage with her ultimate, and can still provide, good teamfight presence.
Well, with the Raijin locked in and the 2 carries on to the flip side, we're going to be seeing a lot of bans, I imagine, towards the jungle for the side of Tiburones. Winter Dogs might be looking to take some supports off the board, though both teams don't have that support just yet. We do see Gilgamesh. This is his first week allowed here into the SCC, so I'm kind of surprised we didn't actually see an early flex in towards him, but realizing he made it into the second phase of bans, he'll be taken away alongside the Khepri. Now, where do you feel that Gilgamesh kind of falls right now? Not just map-wise, but as far as, like, his kind of position in this current meta. Like, where does he stand amongst the ranks?
I feel like he's kind of overvalued right now. You see, a lot of the times when the Gilgamesh is played, he's played in the jungle or solo lane. Those are his 2 best roles. Definitely, I'm sort of more leaning towards the jungle as a role for him rather than the solo lane, simply because he can have a bit more influence during his more dominant early game than rather his late game. I feel his late game is a tiny bit weak compared to most warriors, but he needs to be able to lock down some gods, and quite a lot of the time he's facing up against gods who have dashes, who have leaps, who are going to have beads up most of the time, so really struggles to lock down that certain pick if he doesn't get a good engage off or doesn't have the support burn the beads for him.
Well, Gaijie is going to go back onto one of his signature gods, the Ho Yi. He brought it out last week against the Fishies and had a really strong mid-late game performance on it. We'll see if he can bring the same fire with this god. But all this time, this has allowed the set to kind of just sneak his way back through here, where, it's felt like in previous weeks, set has kind of lost that favor, lost that priority. Is that still reflective of how strong this god is, or are players just kind of forgetting about him?
They're not forgetting about it, but they realize that right now there's higher priority junglers. I mean, Ratatoskr for Kobaby definitely would be a higher priority pick than the set. We see more of a flex towards Darji. Gilgamesh, like I did say, has been picked up in the jungle. Tsukuyomi has suddenly risen above set, so he's no longer part of that top echelon of jungle picks, more in that second, maybe even third tier right now, which is why you're going to be able to see him picked up occasionally, or even just forgotten about and pick some bans altogether.
Well, with that, The Ganesh locked in to round out the winner dog draft, and on the flip side, Xingqian to lock down the supports for it. It's kind of crazy. We see 9th and 10th pick supports were in even previous games of this week and previous games last week. They were some of the top priority. You wanted to get your supports online super early. You wanted to make sure to get them picked up in the picks and bans. But when you see how many Guardians we have banned here, I mean, what do we see? 3, 4, 5 Guardian bans, and these are the 2 that we still wind up with. I mean, that just goes to show how much flexibility there is in that role for it. But looking just at these drafts alone, AJ, where are you kind of pushing your favorites toward? Where's kind of the win condition for both these teams?
For winner dogs, I'm actually giving them more of a late game edge than I do than the Sharks. When you have a look at their composition, it's good for objective burn, it's good for fire giant securing compared to the Sharks draft. Meanwhile, the Tiburones and Tijuanas, they need to almost do the opposite of what they've been doing. They need to get off to a good early game start here and put Benny Q and Wowie under pressure.
Well, we'll see them jump right into a game number 1 of the best of 3 winner dogs and Tiburones de Tijuana. Like we talked about right at the start of picks and bans, Tiburones need this one to essentially secure themselves 2nd seed, which they're pretty sure they already have here. But this gives them a fighting chance to maybe take the 1st seed off of the Sturdy Artisans. Meanwhile, winner dogs are basically just kind of trying to fight to stay out of relegations to themselves. They're fighting for that 4th, 5th seed at the moment.
Yeah, and they will want to win this matchup because of the fact that their opponents, Winner Dogs, they're facing up against Fishies. Fishies down in 6th, Winner Dogs in 5th. So you're looking at that matchup, you should expect a Winner Dogs win in that one, putting them up to 3 and 6. Sorry, Average Joes. So Winner Dogs need that 3 and 6 as well. And then they go into the final matchup of the final week. Average Joes versus Winner Dogs. Winner takes 4th seed.
Well, just looking early across at to the builds, because so far the jungle or startup here is a little bit more in line to what we've previously seen, having the jungler start on the right side, having your mid hunter start together. We're not seeing these 2 teams kind of flex towards that new route that we've seen built up here. But looking across the builds, we are still seeing that conduit gem being picked up by Screen, not really opting into that more recent Sands of Time start. Hold that though, Wowie gets in a little aggressive, goes for the giddy up, but not much follow-up beyond there.
Yeah, this is what you will sort of expect to see from the Chiron, is they'll play extremely aggressive because of the fact that they're going to have that bluestone, can poke out quite easily, especially with that masterful shot. Weird for Wowie to have picked it up at level 3 rather than level 2. I would have expected him to just look to apply one basic attack, get that slow off, just to get a few more in on Blugan.
Oh, going for a little bit of the safety, as opposed to going for the extra poke onto it. So once level 3 hits, that might be where we see this really heavy aggression between Gamma and Wowie. That'll also allow Gamma to have his 3 skills on slot available to him between that Ohm, Turn of Fate, and the dash as well. Makes for a very dangerous early game, especially when you got a Chiron to follow up on top of the remove obstacles for. And you already do see leap or the dash in. We'll throw Blugan in the air, but Blugan has opted for his mobility at level 2 as well. So everybody's got their mobility on that dual lane, so it's going to be hard to lock someone down at this point.
Interesting to point out, Gaijay starting off with a very unorthodox build here, going in for the Eye of the Jungle as his first item. Does give him a fair bit of attack speed, which he does lack in the early game, but it does mean he's going to rely on his basic attacks to clear because he doesn't have much mana sustain. Going to go to Protector of the Jungle later, obviously, meaning he's going to do a lot more work in these jungle team fights.
Dashing by Gamma misses. He gets slammed into the tower, and that's going to spell a lot of return
Look at
fire.
that damage.
Wowie with the masterful shot, not quite enough. And that bluestone giving him that extra little bit of power on top of it, like you talked about. But look across the way at the board here on just the relics for both of these 2 teams. Triple Blink Cop out of Tiburones. 4 sets of purification beads on the winner dogs. A lot of that being the fear that Blugan can provide, especially against Gamma, who doesn't have that CC immunity.
And it's also the follow-up that he's got. Gaijay with the Sunbreaker ultimate. You also have the Taiko drums coming out from Spreen. There's a lot of danger to be flipped out by Blugan's ultimate, so you need to have that safety of the purification beads against it.
Well, Aquarius goes aggressive onto Heat as Heat is just trying to get his blue buff. Guys, please get out of my jungle. We're in the first 3 minutes of the game. We're not starting this just yet. Luckily for him, he does have Cope on the sideline, able to help them get that blue buff dropped down. Cope now hitting level 5. I imagine he'll be picking up that tier 3 acorn momentarily, and that's when we'll probably start seeing some early aggression from this Ratatosker.
Yeah, and as you said, Thistlethorn Acorn being picked up here, the easy stun training wheels Acorn, as I like to call it, just means that you're guaranteed to hit the stun, pretty much from absolutely anywhere. They're in the general vicinity of the direction you're looking in, they're stunned if you hit them.
He's gonna get ulted by Aqua and Andy diving in. Luckily, he's got an ult of his own. He's gonna get stunned out. Cope's a little late on the rotation. First blood goes to Winter Dog, but an immediate follow-up by Cope and making a double kill for the Ratatosker with the final down right afterwards. Drops down both solo and jungle.
And that is a fantastic rotation for Cope. He was in the right place at the right time, and I don't think any other god outside of Thor would have been able to go in there and get those 2 kills. Aggressive play, first blood reward there for Winter Dogs, but with 2 kills going the way of the Tiburones, they definitely come out on top in that engagement.
Yeah, I mean, they come up with a 500 gold swing in their favor, despite first blood bounty going the way of the Winter Dogs, and that's the impressive lead to mark there. They already made a 1k swing in deficit just because of that one. Now, looking aggressive here was Gamma and his team trying to make something in the mid lane. We saw the Dharmic Pillars dropped. Now looking over towards the red buff. Gamma's going to walk up and find Blugan. Blugan's just going to return fire right back at him. Leap and hit him with the Sky Uppercut. Just do a little bit of damage, but Gamma does have Purification Beads. Not really in any danger just yet of being pulled in by Blugan's ult.
And Gamma almost looking like he was a little bit of bait there, and we were just around the corner looking to just snap on the engagement. Looking aggressive again at the purple buff. Just constantly, the buffs are up. They're just looking around the corner, seeing if there's anything to do. Gamma caught out quite aggressive, though, by Blugan and Kobaby. Still not firing on that ultimate, though.
That is an immense amount of patience and trust from Gamma. Even after being hit by the Sky Uppercut, being stunned by Cope, he still holds onto his Purification Beads, recognizing the only thing he needs to use them for is Blugan's ultimate. I think that they were trying to bait it out so they could get the ultimate follow-up afterward, but Gamma was having none of it, still holding on to that relic.
I'm surprised Blugan didn't elect to fire that ultimate just to try and burn those beads and therefore make sure Gamma isn't looking at these buffs like there's some tasty snacks for him to be taking next time they spawn. So don't forget the Purification Beads, quite a long cooldown, 2.5 minutes on them. That means they have 1 rotation of buffs where they're going to be unimpeded by Gamma, or even if he does come in, a very easy option to turn around and kill him.
Well, Heat is now online on this King Arthur, has his tank boots online, and that's really all that you need. Is he's going to make aggressive plays towards Andy, walking to the backside of his jungle. He'll be met up with Cope Baby, and they might look to try and take down this Scorpion early on. We've been seeing kind of this shift in the Scorpion priority. Teams have really been favoring this Fire Giant side of the map to take down that Scorpion, usually pre-7, pre-8 minutes.
And I like it, because before in Season 7 and previous, it was just a Gold Fury up on this left-hand side. You had to put a lot of resources and focus onto this left-hand side to make sure the other team couldn't sneak it. Now, with the Scorpion up, you know when the Scorpion's been taken. You don't care if they take the Scorpion, you care if they take the Gold Fury afterwards. So you can start to put more focus onto this right-hand side. Take the Scorpion early, and maybe look to try and take a Pyromancer once the 10-minute mark comes in.
What do you see? Wow, just clearing out the minions, and now his team kind of posturing up near this Gold Fury Scorpion. Try to take that one down, or for WoW himself, he's just going to try and take a purple buff. Blugan's going to spot him out, leap in, and Sky Uppercut down from the sky, drops Cope, gets a nice stun onto Andy, forces the Purification Beads. The sun's rained down, but it's mostly just to zone everybody out. Gamma going to get a quick beads and a remove obstacle to get him out of the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Spreen throws the ultimate out as well. You see 7 ults used in the fight, and Benny Q still has his rotating over. There's the Supernova, God. And that will eliminate Cope off the map. The one ult that wasn't used amongst the crowd of 8 is the one that seals the deal.
Cope was there, and then all of a sudden, he's gone. So Cope Baby just completely caught unawares of a rotation from Benny Q. Good play, and that's one of the powers of Soul. Like I said, still has that mage ultimate ability, still has that mage focused damage, while still providing that sort of basic attack based pressure you can find for an ADC or even in the mid lane.
Guessing Aqua thought he had some extra kill pressure there. Maybe he does because he's got 2 of his teammates rotating over. He'd sitting well under a quarter health, but he knows that something's going on there. Unfortunately, he can't secure that blue buff. That one will fall to the hands of the Winter Dogs. Aqua expending that blink to try and get a little bit of extra poke and guarantee that he has to sit under that tower and not make that rotation over to the blue. Now Gamma is just going to slowly whittle down this Totemaku, as we always love to watch these Guardians smack Totemaku just for 40 damage to pop.
I'm just to look at the grass right now, because Winter Dogs, for all that they've done so far with the invade onto the blue buff, invade onto the purple buff, they're finding themselves a bit behind in goals. See there, the graph was dipping below 1,000 at one point, but they are starting to slightly climb ahead in experience, the graph trending upwards there. So it's a good idea for Winter Dogs to keep at this. They might find themselves a tiny bit further behind in gold than they would like, but the experience should allow them to start contesting these objectives, and when they start grouping up, the experience difference together should be better than the gold that they're down, allowing them to win those team fights.
All right, so AJ, what is it that made this Charon's coin just come back out of nowhere? It felt like for the longest time, we didn't see anything of this item. It essentially felt like kind of like a dead item in the water. And now all of a sudden, all these mid laners are picking this item up. And not just, later stage, I'm talking second, third item mages are picking this item up.
Oh, it's amazing what a 10 extra power will do. 80 power? No, we don't want that item. 90 power, give me that every game. Spreed wants Benny-Q every game. That's a free kill for him. Cope Baby in the mid lane as well, helping that out. No ultimates used there. Guy J Force uses beats from the invade here from the Winter Dogs. Complete left Benny-Q out to try, but the purple left secured once again.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a counter steal on the opposite side. Blue buff will go the way of Tiburones. Aqua will have to now be the one sitting under the tower. The Seed is just going to try and slowly chop that tower down. Unfortunately, this King Arthur doesn't quite have the attack speed to do it. It's the nature of his kit with it, so he'll have to let that tower stand for a little bit longer. And he gets caught out by Cope, stunned out and forced to use the beads and the Thunder Crash, plus the final basic. Means that Cope will clean up another kill, put 3 on the board for the jungler of the Sharks.
And that's where you see a slight difference between the Sharks and the Winter Dogs. The Sharks grouped up as a 3, as a core in mid lane. Quite often you see Cope Baby and Spreen working together to get a kill on Benny-Q, and then all 3 of them combining there to get Anister. Meanwhile, it's the side lanes where Winter Dogs are focused on. The group up for the invades then. Right, see you later. We'll meet up again in 2 minutes time. In the meantime, have fun. I'm gonna go fight in mid lane, gonna go get some camps or something. I don't know, you just do you. And the difference there is the teamwork. And Tiburones exploiting it massively.
Yeah, one thing, just kind of looking at the player damage chart here, it's common to see the solo laners super high up on the chart. It's just the nature. They slap each other around for 25 minutes, they pat those damage numbers, and then they join the fight. But Cope is pretty far up there and close to them in the damage charts, just shy of 4,000. That just shows how much aggression and how much activeness he's had across this map. He's been on the forefront of many of these fights.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why he's been so prevalent with this pick, is he's extremely active in the early game. Anderson is trying to replicate that here. Cope Baby going out for the ultimate. They're looking for Aquarius. They're going to dive him here. They might dive He's combining with the dive. Anderson's going to be the mark.
Yeah, he's going to dive right onto Andy, but unfortunately Andy was still in the sky, so landing for the Cosmos wasn't enough. Nice stun keeps him at bay, but Spreen has rotated over with this Raijin, and now they're looking their sights towards Aquarius, up onto the Tycho drums, looking for anything, but unfortunately the pillars drop down, and that's gonna trap Spreen, giving the credit for the kill over to Anister 4, but Blugan on the backside will make sure to clean up Aquarius and get himself on the board. Blugan now stuck between 3 players. Ohm down, missed the remove obstacles there, so that's going to allow him to set the ultimate. Benny-Q going to get thrown back, but into the Saprite he goes. Cope is just trying to get the last hit on Anister, but he's so low. Sky hook, uppercut will make sure to take him down. Benny-Q, however, picks up a double kill with a single supernova. Blugan and Heed both fall instantly to the mage.
And Gamma, I don't know why he's chasing Cope Baby. He's not going to kill. He's a Ratatasker. He's faster than you, and he has speed buff. Gamma, you don't have blink. Don't do it, Gamma. Gamma, don't do it. Gamma.
Yeah, okay. Smart. Okay, he's good. He wised up.
Yeah, good.
Oh, and
okay, now we got that sorted. It's fine. Benny-Q, though, great ult from Benny-Q in that last fight, just to secure a double kill. Good setup from Gamma to allow him to, spread that supernova across 2 high-value targets. Puts himself at 3-1, and if I'm Winner Dogs, I'd like to see them focus now on having Benny Q be their focal point.
Well, Wowie has 2 levels up on Gaijay. Would not be surprised if maybe Winter Dogs try and push a little bit of aggression there as well. Try and make the most of their leads that they're building up. Charon's Coin and now a Spear of the Magus online for Benny Q. Very high power item online for this maze. Going to have him swing just a little bit harder, get that mark onto somebody as well. And I imagine that mark hits a tank. That tank is dead no matter what. Unfortunately for Benny, he might be dead
here as well.
Rotated onto by Cove. Luckily for him, he's got Disapparate. And yeah, that's all. That's really all he needs, Disapparate, and he's out.
Yeah, that's what makes Sol one of the most annoying mages to go up against. That Disapparate just provides so much safety, so much stall time. It's akin to Ram just going up into his ult saying, "You can't touch me for 5 seconds, my team's on its way, you better start running." Except with Ram, you can then look to damage the enemies and you can land a bit earlier. With Sol, you're still just running around, they know exactly where you're going to be and where you're going to, but it's still just that safety. So much potential for stall, and so much potential just to avoid loads of damage, especially if it comes out in dots like the Raiju.
Oh, right now, Tiburones are setting up for the Gold Fury. Got it down just around half health at the moment. Benny Q also down to half health. Onto the Taiko drums goes Spreen, looking for Answer, but he can't land any of these drum shots onto a single person right now. He has been really struggling to get the damage online with that ultimate. That's going to have them reset the Gold Fury. Looks like the Oracles will split 1-to-1, so nobody gets control of the vision. They'll drop down the Vines on the top side, make sure they have their escape path. Meanwhile, Heed will walk in and get ohmed out by Gamma, and that's going to slow him down right away. Now he's stuck in the middle of 3. He's going to be forced to use a lot of mobility just to get back. Luckily for me as a King Arthur, he has a lot of options available to him. Hook slam by Bluegan and ohmed by Gamma. Make sure that they're going to stop each other and dead their tracks there, but remove obstacles from Gamma means he's used his dash, but Benny Q's got the Supernova. He doesn't care about that Whirlwind. He's going to drop him down instantly. Now Heed, the target of aggression, down to about half health of his own. Benny Q firing out some big numbers here out of the mid lane onto this Soul. I mean, his damage numbers might not be super high onto the chart, but it feels like he is just chunking through this Tiburones squad.
And it's all thanks, really, to Gamma. I mean, he's just been able to stall, bait, and even just put Bluegan into awkward situations. Bluegan dashes in, wants to try and engage. Oh, there's the Ohm, there's the silence. You're only going to be able to get one person because the rest of us are now splitting up. Oh, you're knocked up, you're locked in place, and by the time he's then able to start that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, he's pretty much dead. Benny Q confirming it with that Supernova. So Bluegan, if I'm Bluegan and I'm the rest of Tiburones, I'm looking at different ways for us to engage now. It's obvious that Bluegan cannot be the one to engage if Gamma is around. Find someone else to go in. Maybe he blinks in and uses Excalibur's Wrath. Maybe Cub Baby comes in through the Cosmos, but something has to change in their engages.
Right now, Bluegan trying to be the lone frontliner, the lone initiation for the team. It's just not working out for them in these early skirmishes. Late game, when he's got full build online, might be a different story, but even still, we're looking across the board at Benny Q in his item pathing. That Charon's Coin provides a lot of that penetration for him. You had the Spear of the Magus for big power spike as well. I mean, it's going to be hard for Bluegan to even attempt to really go on to these carries.
Yeah, and it's all about prot shred here for Winner Dogs as well. Aquarius with that Guan Yu going to shred prots for Wowie. Wowie with that Masterful Shot Mark will reduce 5% of protections for himself. So if Bluegan goes in, he's already down 50 prots or something, and then Benny Q is providing extra damage on top of that to the tune of 7.5%. He is not tanky at all to this team comp.
And there's the beads out of Gamma to the Cosmos drop down. Well, we picked up with the Excalibur's Wrath. And now stuck inside the Dharmic Pillars is Heed. He dashes into the wall, takes quite a few shots from it. Into the back line goes Andy looking for the carry. Spreen goes up onto the Taiko drum, so he's had a few of the drum shots, but only going to land a home onto Benny. Takes about a quarter of his health with it. Solar Flare into the background. Aqua Dash just aggressively. Supernova expended. That's a big gas pedal for this team. That's been one of their big problems, is dealing with that ultimate from Benny. But the zoning that he's able to create with these shots is just making it to where it's so hard to approach him.
And now just back off from Winner Dogs, heal up, use that Guan Yu to their advantage, but looking healthier the Tiburones, and they feel like they can just whittle down this tier 1 tower that's already on its pretty much last legs to get themselves some pressure across the map. Already here, Winner Dogs looking to defend.
Yeah, Yeah, these stellar bursts are creating perfect zone for BennyQ. It feels like anytime he throws one out, the entire team just has to separate. They just have to, spread out, because the longer they hold the hands in these jungle fights, the worse it's going to get for them as this game goes on. Still waiting to see what BennyQ opts to finish for this next item. I imagine it's going to be the Rod of Tahuti. I can't imagine that he would want to go into a Chronos Pendant. I think Doomore might be out of the question for it. And if he's already chunking this hard early on, imagine what he's going to get when that Rod of Tahuti comes online, AJ.
Has to be a Rod of Tahuti. Give himself an extra 10% penetration to get it up to 30%. Gives himself 140 power. Translates that into his basic attacks. Gets himself that good passive. And there it is. Rod of Tahuti is now being completed. These towers are not long for this world. The Fire Giant's going to be just a cakewalk for Winning Dogs. And anybody who steps up here against BennyQ and Wowie specifically is going to fall very quickly.
I don't think it's just the towers, AJ. I don't think any carrier, any tank are long for this world now that BennyQ has that Rod of Tahuti online. And no, he still has one more. He still has one more item he can build as well. I mean, we're already calling the beginning of the end for towers with just the Rod of Tahuti. There's still another slot to pick up, as well as finishing off that star item. But like you mentioned, he's level 18. He is the highest level on the map over the solo laners, only tied with Wowie for the Hunter, and Wowie just hit level 18. BennyQ is on farm mode.
And that is really surprising to see from a mid laner's perspective. You splitting farm constantly is now turned into level 19 at the 19 and 50-second mark. So he could realistically hit level 20 just shy of 21 minutes into the game, which is a phenomenal achievement here in a competitive game.
I mean, look at the adjustments this enemy team has had to make. A Witchblade picked up for Bluegan just to make sure he can deal with BennyQ and Wowie's basics, as well as Andy's if he jumps into the back line. And we've also got a Pestilence picked up to kind of deal with some of the healing that this team has picked up. Obviously, more aligns to the tune of Aquarius on that Guan Yu, but so many quick options and adjustments have had to be made in these builds just for this comp.
Whilst we have been speaking about BennyQ's damage quite a fair bit, he's actually behind in damage to his counterpart by the tune of 1,700. Spreen, second highest player damage in the game, only behind Heed on the King Arthur. It's just that Soul's damage has been a lot more effective, been a lot more burst-oriented. Whilst the damage coming out from Spreen, it's been dot damage. It's been mostly that Raiju bouncing across the team. And what do Winner Dogs have? They have a healer. They have that Guan Yu just to sustain back up. They have the Chiron, also gives himself and his team massive amounts of healing when he uses those abilities. So a lot of this poke from Spreen's been negated.
Well, they recognize that Benny is the problem, and they're going to expend quite a bit to try and get to him, but he still lived. He was able to Aegis out the spin, and Kobaby's going to fall because of a double kill for Aquarius after the fault of Bluegan and Kobaby trying to go in onto this mid laner. Yeah, they recognize he's the problem, but they both died in the process and still didn't even pick him up.
I mean, the rest of the team was still stood in the jungle going, guys, why are we fighting in the lane? We want to fight in the jungle. Please get back here. Oh, you're both dead already. We can't get in there. We're being zoned out by a elephant. I mean, Gamma and Aquarius just been such good frontline and body blocking potential. And just zone has been massive from them.
Well, Heat is going to go into the midst of the Fire Giant pit, and he's going to be met with all 5 members. He's going to get knocked up as well. Still trapped inside the pit. The Suns rain down. Heat is able to pick up Gamma. And it's a 3v5 fight that so far Tiburones are winning. I say that. But Andy had a few spawns to take care of that question. Spreen will fall down, but the Fire Giant, AJ, has been stopped, if only for a brief moment.
That's the main objective there for Tiburones. They had 2 members dead. Bluegan had just respawned, was still on the way to the fight. Spreen, unfortunately, did fall for it. But just stopping the Fire Giant, stopping Winner Dogs from taking control of this game, which is not a sentence that we've said often so far in the SCC. 22 and a half minutes into this game. Wowie being caught out here by Heed, and Heed's doing a lot of damage right there on the King Arthur.
Yeah, welcome to King Arthur. You could have just stopped it. He's King Arthur. That's just what he does. No carry is safe when this god is around. Has that Void Shield online as well, so there's a little bit of extra power online for him. But look at the way here. BennyQ did hit level 20 off the back end of that last fight, so now we're just waiting for that 6th item to come on. It looks like he has picked up his upgraded starter. That will be the Pendulum of Ages for a little bit of cooldown reduction, some extra power onto it. but now he still has that dangerous 6th item to pick, and there are so many options available to him.
You could go for a very spicy Polynomicon if you wanted to, could go in for some extra cooldown reduction as part of a Soul Gem, could go in for a Divine Ruin if he feels like the healing coming out from Tiburones is a bit too much to deal with. There's a lot of options for him to go into. Could even go in for a basic attack base item, could go in for a Telkine's Ring, a Ring of Hecate, could go in for a Hasten Ring, might even just decide to go in for a penetration ring, just to make sure that he's doing almost true damage to this front line.
Yeah, you said Ring of Hecate, and that brought back some deep repressed memories in the back of my mind. Now, I remember when that item was the go-to, that became the rise and rule of Freya, but we'll have to hold up on reminiscing for that, as it looks like both teams are setting up for the Fire Giant fight, at least. I don't think either team are ready to make a full commit to the Fire Giant. He's going to try and clear out a ward. He's going to be met by opposition. BennyQ now down under half health. He's going into the Zap Raid. Ultimate out of Bluegan's not going to find anybody because Beats and Ultimate are good enough. Diving from the trees is Cope Baby all into Gamma. Bluegan down to half health. Dark Pillars drop in the back line. Gamma just trying to zone Spreen and Bluegan from the fight. The Suns separate the teams. Gamma's getting low. Up into the sky goes Heat with Wowie. He'll drop down right into the cliffs of Cope, but not enough damage from either team to secure a kill just yet. Heed is getting low. He's got to back away. A lot of fire shots from both of these teams, but so far no one will fall, and it looks like the healing from Winter Dogs will keep them a little bit healthier.
Both teams just playing a bit too much on both ends of the field, both looking to try and get the kill, but also a bit too protective of their own backline. One of the teams needs to just say, right, you've been caught by this guy, it's fine. We're just going to sack you, but we're going to kill 3 people in response to it. We're just going to go right into their backline, force them to turn around and deal with us, rather than just turning around for peel. Good teamfight split, though, from Guy J with his ultimate, just to make sure that there is some form of separation from Gamma's engage for the rest of the team. But the fact that they're having to use Guy J's ultimate as a zoning tool rather than a damaging tool speaks a bit of worries here for the team fight for Tiburones.
Yeah, it seemed that it was kind of just that responsive of, hey, let's try and get Gamma since he's all the way back here. But Gamma was tanky enough that it didn't matter that through the Suns, he was able to just hug that right side wall closest to the edge of the map there and slowly waddle his way back to the rest of the team. He wasn't really concerned about the Suns. The rest of the team said, all right, nice ultimate, Guy J. It's cool. It looks pretty, but we're just going to back away from it for this time. And for the Winter Dogs, it feels like that's just a huge win. They get the Suns out of the enemy ADC. Now they're one of their primary damages, especially for objectives or fights, are just completely off the table for it. Bluestone Bruges looks like it's been picked up here by Wowie. Flip side, we have not seen Guy J go back to finish up that Eye yet. I imagine it's probably going Eye of the, or Protector of the Jungle.
It has to be a Protector of the Jungle. There's no reason for him to go into the other upgrade. I don't think I've ever really seen the other upgrade being bought there. Loads of these fights are going to be taking place in the jungle, and when you're Hui, you want to be fighting in the jungle anyway, so it makes a lot of sense to be picking up this sort of almost late game focused starter. Try and get your head around saying that sentence again. Late game focused starter. But Fight Giant being started up here. Fight's going to be breaking out as In the Sky's Cope Baby.
Yeah, Cope tries to go into BennyQ, but he's already into the Zap Raid. Supernova expended very early, as well as the Dharmic Pillars. 2 big damage abilities off the mark. Centaurus fired into the backline, and a masterful shot will take down Guy J. There's enough damage online for it. Cope also falls to the wrath of Andenster. Spreen and Bluegan both at a quarter health. They're first to go on full retreat, while the Fire Giant started up by Winter Dogs. And there is nobody on this Tiburones squad that has the chance to steal this Fire Giant away. So with 2 kills, the Winter Dogs will pick up the main objective.
Now it's just a case of Winter Dogs. Do they have what it takes to hold out this game and look to try and end it? 27.5 minutes and they find themselves in the lead. It's unprecedented territory for them, but they're looking good value for their lead. Tiburones, their mistake there was simply starting the objective. These fights have been going even when Winter Dogs have been starting the objective, when they're poked out from trying to be taking this Fire Giant. What's going to happen when you're the ones that are poked out in that instance? You're going to basically almost guaranteed lose the fight. It's exactly what happened there. Just unable to pick up any value targets.
What is a Phoenix? It is gone before they even had a chance to defend against it. Wow, you're going to dash in and send Spreen right back to the fountain off the knockout by Gamma. I mean, again, we talked about it earlier on. Ratatouille's picked up and said, oh man, objectives are not safe. You know, towers are, they better fear this man. Phoenixes fall into that same category. BennyQ shredded through that Phoenix and shredded through Spreen.
And just backing off now after they got one Phoenix, going to be spending up that gold that they've earned, looking to push down another lane. Pythax piece is actually going to be the final item pick up here from BennyQ. Not an item I would have expected, but it does make a lot of sense when you realize that a lot of the team fight has been focused around BennyQ. Where is he? Have they been able to dive on and kill him quickly enough? And the answer most of the time has been no. They've only managed to take him down once. And he's rewarding the rest of his team for standing around him by giving them increased power and increased lifesteal. That's going to be a huge boon to Wowie and Andinster especially, considering they're going to be basic attack focused. They're going to benefit from this lifesteal a lot.
Well, now over towards the Primal Fury goes Winter Dogs, just getting themselves a little bit more gold, another objective on the map, taking that one away from the Sharks. It seems so far, AJ, that in these last few fights that Tiburones have tried to start up, their primary target has been BennyQ. But the instant that BennyQ recognizes the fight starts up, he goes into Separate, and from there it just feels like these fights fall apart. What adjustments do the Sharks have to make if they want to take down this mage?
They have to make sure that Guy J is able to follow up from the engage, because he's just been absent in most of his team fights. Have a look at the player damage. He is third from the bottom, but just above the two supports. Above that, Cope, his engages haven't really found a way home just yet either. Just those two need to find themselves at a point where they can get better engages and better follow-up.
Double ultimate to the backline, but BennyQ got into the Separate before the throw, so luckily for him, he'll be able to
the Suns have done nothing.
Essentially negate it. There was the Suns and an ultimate from Blugan used, and it basically did nothing. 2 sets of beads and a Separate, or actually, I'm sorry, only 1 set of beads had to get used for that one, and then the Separate saves BennyQ's life. Outside of that, Winter Dogs are fine. They're fully healthy, aside from Gamma, who's a little bit low, but they got a massive ultimate off of the side of the Sharks, 2 of them at that one. BennyQ gonna throw out another stellar burst to try and tap Blugan, but unfortunately he's just a little bit off the mark. Trying to keep himself in that full heat. Meanwhile, Cope Baby off to the side, looking for a potential way to engage onto this fight. He's gonna go right on top of BennyQ. Into the Separate he goes. Cope Baby dives down, only gets Wowie with the knockup. Heat is getting low. He's got to run as fast as he can. Centaurus shots from the Hunter, and the masterful shot. Ooh. Will it be enough? Not quite. No. The dots aren't going to be able to pick him up, so Heed scrapes by, just barely able to make it back to the fountain. Winter Dogs, though, they're still looking at this Phoenix. BennyQ just needs a few more good basics to take it down, and finally they will be able to secure the deal, but maybe they'll sacrifice Aquarius in the process for it. As a nice Thunder Crash and some body blocks are able to help Cope secure the kill.
Aquarius just a tiny bit too deep there just to try and zone out the rest of the team. He does get rewarded with the Phoenix, but does pay for it with his life. And again, that fight engaged though from Cope Baby lands on Wowie. It is forced to immediately dash away. That's one of the issues that he has with this build, where he's gone pure damage glass cannon. And one of the reasons why I think Ratatasker is best suited for the support role, not support the solo lane role. Support Ratatasker is still a viable thing, but maybe not going to be seeing it for a while. But solo lane Ratatasker can build into that bruiser sort of style, can engage like Cope Baby did, but then survive in that front line very easily with how frustratingly tanky he can build. The glass cannon build that Cope Baby's got right now means that he is just dead to rights the second Wowie or BennyQ turn onto him.
Well, BennyQ just picked up a Potion of Power along with his full build. Not quite fully stacked for either of these mages. On their Charon's coin only at 5 stacks apiece, but I don't think they're as concerned about that. It means they're at least getting equal value for the items onto it. Player damage-wise, though, Spreen is still sitting well and above at the top of the charts, but like you were saying earlier, it doesn't feel like his damage has been very effective damage.
Again, that just comes back to the healing that's been going down from Wowie and Aquarius. A lot of the damage going onto the front line as well in small bursts and extended amounts of these engagements, whilst BennyQ's damage, Wowie's damage, it's been going onto fixed targets. They've been killing those targets. Their damage has been hyper-focused into one single objective.
He's gonna lose a little bit of health. Gamma's gonna get hit by the hook slam. The Suns rain down. but that's a big ultimate off the board early on. Aquarius is getting low, though. He has to use the Mountain Cavalry to get out of danger quickly. Andy now going to chase down Cope. Cope is forced up onto the tree and almost didn't make it into there. Meanwhile, Spreen and Bluegun on the backside just got ran at by Gamma and Benny Q, and that's going to set up for the Fire Giant. Only Heat has ultimate, but he's at half health. I'm not sure he's even going to make an attempt toward it. Not that he could either. 300 plus basics coming out of the Maids, 200 plus coming out of the Hunter. That objective, as soon as it was started up, it might as well just kissed its life goodbye. Saw it flash right before his eyes.
Hey, the firewall didn't even come up. That's how quickly they took it down. I don't think the meteors even got a chance to be fired. They were about to be summoned when the Fire Giant got taken out. You can see 3 minutes, 40 seconds remaining on the Fire Giant, considering they just got it. Mid-tier, 2 tower. Benecu's just the 4 or 5 basics, it'll be gone.
Oh, thank you. And I hope he did that to separate for him quick. He's digging it up by a little bit of time, but Cope is able to squeeze it out and find an opportunity to finally take down this mid laner. That's his second death now onto the board, and that opens the door for the Sharks, because now they've gotten rid of what they feel is probably their biggest problem. The thing is, they still got Wowie to deal with, and Annenster, who's diving to the back line, can't even get the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel off Wowie. With the Centaurus shots, we'll find 2 on it. Aqua takes down a 4th, and that leaves only Spreen left alive. With 1 Phoenix down, they're going to march themselves right to the Titan and take game 1. Spreen is going to be the lone defense for it, but I'm not sure even he has enough to zone the way. He'll throw out the Tycho drums, but Titan is at half. He's at half, and the Titan will fall down. Winter Dogs take game 1.
Did you take down Benny Q? Yes. What did it cost? Everything. Absolutely everything. It legitimately cost him pretty much every cooldown that they had to take him down, and there was nothing left in the tank for them to take the fight afterwards. But those Centaurus shots from Wowie at the end, just... How much damage does Chiron do? Infinite damage, it seems.
Yeah, it felt like he had everything that he needed going for him, as well as the Winter Dogs. They're able to take game 1, and with that, we'll take you to a quick break, and then we'll be back with the action for game 2.
I've been lost in my thoughts, and my thoughts they too scared to usher off. Sorry, Mom, I just thought you were my world. Now you're not, and I'm just sitting, smoking, sloping in a daze, cause my days ain't been the same since I drove here. I remember the way you wrote letters in blue ink. You and me was in love. Give up what your crew think. I know your moms probably think I'm a bastard. Your pops probably want to beat my to death and take a in my casket. But I got sick of fighting, bickering, fussing over nothing, cussing. Instead of watching the death of discussions that we once had, days that we once spent in the backseat of our cars, reading poets at sunset. It's funny how love can fall out the foreground, get pushed into the back of your mind. We used to twist a spliff and laugh and relax. Now you crying, and I'm trying to find the reasons. So I ask, does forever ever happen, or is it always fade to black? I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul on the road. I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul on the road.
I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Boy, all that like Keenan. Still got crack, they fiendin'. Flow still hot like Phoenix. Shine so bright, I'm gleaming. This off top, I'm tweaking. Fresh out the rat like Neiman. And I'm still trying to fight my demons. Cause we all gotta act like Tina. That's why I gotta ride with the Nina. Outside, it's a war going on. Make me put my hands on my head like the Macarena. They want you walking on board like Kima. And give an F to you like John Cena. Putting blood on the brand new Beamer. Trying to earn 8 stripes like Adidas. You get cold when you ride with the heater. It'll turn you to a dog like a keto. And expose to a cat like a cheetah. They smoke my partner like reefer. Dímelo porque yo no entiendo. Mi gente must really need Jesus. They shed real blood. I never seen the crypt and I believe it. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Y'all just talk, don't live it. And just took that route, that seen it. And I'm so outspoken like Reason. Jimmy Neutron, boy, young G's. And I'm a self-made man out of Sweden. And it's still off top, I'm tweaking. But I still gotta fight my demons. I ain't no good, I'm evil. I ain't been clean since Eden. It's a war going on outside. Make you put your hands on your head like the Macarena. That's why I gotta watch my demeanor. You know they locking up blacks and Latinos.
And welcome back to the Smite Challenger Circuit, North America side of it. Tiburones de Tijuana, the second seed team, AJ, they fall to the Winter Dogs, the 5th seed team. And AJ, what's probably the one guy we don't want to see this game?
I don't want to see Athena. I really don't want to see an Athena. It's kind of
okay. God that we did see this game, but we don't want to see him again.
Oh, Sol. You mean Sol. You want to talk about Sol some more. And I think it's warranted to talk about Sol, given just how unbelievably controlling Benny Q was in that game. I mean, everything that went right for the Winter Dogs was going through him. Maybe apart from the fact that he did get killed in mid lane without the use of ultimates, but we're going to let that be bygones for that one play.
Yeah, I think we can kind of let that one slide for the time being, because outside of there, it was just nonstop carnage by Benny Q. That was his first kill on the board, was getting that one at the purple buff against Cope Baby, but it felt like a lot of this game was just riding on the back of Benny Q. So much targeted aggression towards this mid laner specifically. I mean, they were giving up everything to try and take him down. In fact, they did give up everything to finally kill him for the second time at the end of the game.
And then we can't forget the fact that Wowie was just left to his own devices at times. Centaurus plus Masterful Shot taking care of Guy J not once but twice during the game, the second time, just to pretty much put the icing on the cake for the ending. And then he's there just for some nice support, nice cleanses with his training exercise, plus some good amount of long-range damage.
Oh, we can't even forget, Aqua and Gamma. Aqua specifically just providing so much healing for this team. And even with all of the anti-heal that got picked up, he was still putting in some big numbers for his team, while with a little bit of extra healing of his own through his passive onto it. But Winter Dogs just looked like, even though they got that first blood in solo lane, it flipped around, Kope got the double return off of it, it still just felt like that one starting first kill was just the slow spiral that Winter Dogs needed, because they never really looked like they lost control of that game.
Yeah, we look at the healing combined, 12,300, 3,400. That's basically negating the entire damage of Guy J or Cope. Just completely getting rid of it if you take that healing off of their damage. So basically fighting a 4 versus 5 in that game in terms of player damage with the Sharks, very difficult to deal with when you don't have a healer on your side, or the fact that you were placed on the back foot trying to deal with a target that was very difficult to lock down and deal with. I'm interested to see what adjustments they will make in this next game, but it's up to the Winter Dogs to just try and continue to ride this momentum.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the big factors here was that Guy J just kind of felt like a non-factor for a majority of the game. I really didn't see Guy J making much of an impact. This whole Yi just kind of felt like it was a zoning hunter. We always joke about, oh, that was a zoning ultimate, but it felt like that's what it always was for it. We'll see if they make any kinds of adjustments and change up their draft here in this second game going into the picks and bans. Winter Dogs have gotten, or the Sharks elected to take second pick this time around, allowing for the Winter Dogs to grab this first one and take Scylla right off the board.
Very strange that the Sharks would take second pick. Maybe they've realized that just a slight adjustment in draft is all that they will need to be able to take them down. But if you're going to be needing to ban away Sol, you need to have the option to have the opportunity to ban it. But if you're forced to ban away Athena, forced to ban away Sobek, and forced to ban away the Tiamat, what do you do? Looks like they're going to give up the Sobek.
Yeah, I imagine the Sobek is probably the one you have to give up in that one. I would rather not give an enemy team a Tiamat, especially with how prevalent she is here in the SCC. So just go ahead and take away the big problem now. The Sol, that was the problem. You know, we discussed onto it as well as the Tiamat being taken away. But Benny Q, needless to say, he popped off on the Sol, and they're going to make sure that he doesn't get to do the same thing in Game 2.
Well, and no surprise to see the fact that Sobek was the ban that was elected to be changed with the Sol. First pick here for Winter Dogs. So pretty much as you were for the Sharks. Same availability compared to what it was the last game at this pick position. Believe they took in the Rataska and the King Arthur. Elected to take the Raijin a bit earlier on this time. It did work. It did a lot of damage. Ended up with top player damage throughout the entire game by some distance. Only got to go over the 30,000 mark. And the Chiron to boot. It's a good adjustment here from the Sharks to take away the Chiron from the Winter Dogs.
Yeah, they take away the Sol, which was the mid lane power pick for them, and they steal the Chiron away from Winter Dogs, which means now we're going to see a completely new draft here emerge out of this Winter Dogs roster. But they opted not to pick up the Ratatoskr or the King Arthur, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of those gets picked up by the Winter Dogs here. Probably the King Arthur more than the Ratatoskr. I feel like Rat is kind of a coat baby god more than anybody else here in the SCC. Instead, they'll pick up the Chicken Man. They'll pick up Ra and Onhurst. They're going with the full Egyptian squad here so far. The Winter Dogs maybe just going to run a team theme game here.
Just imagine if you picked all 5 from the same Pantheon, it would just be like a Pantheon bonus. You get 5% extra damage or 5% extra healing or something because you picked 5 at the same Pantheon. That would be great. But Khepri going to be taken up here by the Sharks. It was a smart pickup considering last game we did see a heavy focus towards support bans. In fact, Khepri was one of the ones taken away by Winter Dogs in the second banning phase. So now the Sharks have the opportunity to ban 2 away here, or 1 away here, as I say, they banned the Achilles, just to force Winter Dogs down a bit further into their god pool if they like to take the Sobek into the solo lane.
Yeah, I like the Achilles ban here. They have to answer to the fact they picked this Khepri early on into the draft. Means they have to get rid of the executes that are a little bit easier to deal with on the map, and that's going to be the Thanatos as well. So that's 2 out of the 3 execute-based gods eliminated from the board. That leaves only the Ao Kuang, the single target, much squishier
Andy
option
does play
of the 3. Yeah, Andy does have it into his wheelhouse, but the set is back up. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he just decides to run the set back after last game.
Well, this is a very scary composition from the Sharks here. The Raijin, Chiron, Cucullin, and Khepri, all of which extremely lane-winning picks. The set taken up here by Winter Dogs as well. Looks like they kind of want to fight fire with fire here, but I don't know if I want to fight early game against the Sharks one. They've got the Chiron, Cucullin in their lanes. Just leave the side lanes to be. They've won the side lanes. I give them up.
Ruined it. They had 4 out of 5 for the Egyptian theme. They just needed the lock Osiris there, and that was all set in stone. They could have had it there, but nope, they ruined it.
So he did all set in stone.
They decided to pick up a Guan Yu because maybe Guan Yu's good or something. I guess I don't know. Maybe they just want some extra healing on their team. Not like Ra's not going to provide a bunch of healing onto it. But yeah, I'm looking at this Sharks roster here. This is a scary composition. The Camazot's an interesting pick. We don't see him as often anymore, most likely going into that jungle role with the Cucullin already locked in onto it. But, I mean, they have the revive from the Khepri. They've got their front line with the Cucullin. I don't know. I kind of like where this thing kind of falls in place here.
I like where it goes. I like the composition overall. I would have felt maybe something like a Hunbats over the Camazots would have fitted a little bit better, but it's just pure damage coming out for the jungler here. Pure damage from the Chiron and Raijin. The only thing they're really lacking is a full solid engage. I suppose the Cucullin kind of covers for that, but early game it is a single target composition. Just whoever the Khepri plucks, full focus fire on that person and just hope to God that they die before they get away.
Yeah, I mean, the problem I'm looking at for Tiburones is they already struggle dealing with the healing of just a Guan Yu. The Chiron, yeah, he's got some healing. He put about 3,000. That just comes out of his entire control. That's I casted ability. Now there's a Raw on the enemy team, AJ. How are the Sharks going to deal with it going into this second game?
Well, they did what they needed to do in the other game, which was build copious amounts of anti-healing, so I imagine they're going to go down the exact same route here. But Winter Dogs just stick to the same plan that they had last game. Early game aggression, invade where possible, and start to play around whoever gets ahead. Last game, BennyQ and Wowie gave them the luxury of 2 choices, and they elected to move them both over towards the Fire Giant side and fought around there consistently. If it's just one person, focus that lane.
Well, let's see what kind of adjustment Cope Baby can make as well. He's going from that semi-global Ratatosker that had such an impact for their early game and for their last couple of weeks of play. Now he's moved over onto the Camazotz. Doesn't have that semi-global pressure like the Ratatosker does, but does have a lot of early game damage and sustain. Maybe try and help his team out, get some base single target picks in these early stages. Back to standard starts of these SCC players, hunters and mids at that red buff. And they'll be able to drop down the attack speed buff. Looking across onto Relics. Nothing too out of the ordinary. A blink from Gamma means he wants that early aggression from what I can see. And a double blink on the right side as well. Heat and Cope Baby picking those up.
Yeah, and Heat starting on his blue buff by himself like he did in the last game. The only difference between the two squads is where the solo laners have started compared to each other. And it gives Heat the early game pressure, but it does mean that Aquarius should hit level 5 first if both of them get the exact same farm in the lane.
Right now, Andy and Benny just have to deal with the fact that there is a Camazotz and a Raijin staring them down. The clear will go slightly in favor of Tiburones for the time being. That allows for Spreen and Cope Baby to pick up that first set of mid Harpies on that left-hand side. Speaking of Harpy, Alpha Harpy of the duo lane goes the way of Wowie and Gamma. Oracle Harpies will go for Tiburones. So just across the board, it looks like neutral farm going slightly in favor of the Sharks with that early mid-aggression. He takes a full Tallow assault and just kind of gets to feel the wrath of the damage of this Guan Yu.
Yeah, Guan Yu, one of the better gods at trading out with the Kakulin, especially when he hasn't got. So Heat, a trouble Aquarius!
Wow.
With the solo kill, I did not expect that. That is unbelievable play from Aquarius. Solo kill for First Blood.
Yeah, Tallow Assault plus Bluestone looks like it does quite a lot of damage. Go ahead and pick that up and play it in your games at some point. Yeah, no, I know. I watched it happen, AJ. Like, we got to witness it at the same time here on the screen. It's kind of good. Maybe those of you at home, maybe try and pick it up and play it yourself. See how you do.
Blueger gonna get plucked back in. Wowie holding on to the Impale for now. Probably doesn't. No, he does have it. Down to about a third health. But is able to just sustain up a little bit because of his passive dashing in his Guy J. He's got the aggression, he's got the power from it, and Gamma's left isolated.
Yeah, kind of a different target selection onto that one. Guy J wanted Wowie. Meanwhile, Blugan wanted Gamma. Purification beads off the masterful shot. That's not something you see too often, is the slow from Chiron being beads away by the enemy team. Now Andy making a long rotation to this duo lane. It looks like he might be getting spotted out here. He's waiting to see if he can make a move. Purple buff has respawned. They'll start it up. And he dives in with the skewer just to do a little bit of damage with the spawns, but no further aggression from the jungler.
He got pinged out there by Blugan, so they knew exactly where Anderson was. They knew the invade was potentially coming. So Winter Dogs unable to put their pressure onto that left-hand side. He's going to go aggressive here because he's transforming, but knows if he goes too deep against Aquarius, he'll probably get soloed again. Level 4 versus level 5 doesn't have that war cry, doesn't have that Spear of Mortal Pain, but Cavalry charges up for Aquarius. Definitely a losing battle if he does take it.
Benny Q just stole one of those Harpies over the wall. Just a blind shot there. Looked like he may have had a ward to help him out. So splits that right side camp with himself. It puts him still a little bit behind Spreen. His farm hasn't been quite as efficient as it was last time around, but we are still fairly early on into the game. He'll pick up his Shoes of the Magi, giving him a little bit of extra power and lifesteal. Same for over onto the flip side. Again, mid laner's going for 2 different starter items.
And a surprising pickup here for Aquarius is the fact that he's gone into the tank boots. I agree with the fact that tank boots will help him survive in lane a lot more, but given that he got that solo kill, given that he fights himself ahead and with pressure, I'm surprised he didn't look to double down on that and going in for the Warrior Tabi to get himself 40 power rather than 10, and just put the hurt onto Heat.
You know what they say, though? Tank boots are pretty good.
Oh, they're really good.
They're a pretty good item here. Benny Q is going to get caught out by Blugan. He's going to get plucked in, forced to use Purification Beads. That's the gas pedal for Cope Baby to dive right in. That searing pain not going to do anything for him. Spreen being targeted here by the lurking in the waters. Gamma, though, still waiting for his cooldowns to come back online as he chases this mid laner around the map. He's losing Annister in the mid lane to Cope Baby, who picks up the double kill on the Camazotz.
Aquarius has made his rotation early on, forces a revive, and that's going to be an instant cancel of the cavalry charge. Very odd decision. That's actually going to make Blugan escape.
They can't get it, and they might be able to pick up Aquarius for rotation, and now by Heat, he picks up one with the spear, and now looking for Aquarius as well. They have turned this on his head. Luckily, Aquarius able to pick up a kill in the midst of it all, but that was 4 kills for 1 that the Sharks pick up in that mid lane fight.
Very odd decision there from Winterdogs. Just bad decision across the board there. I mean, the fight was good. I suppose Benny Q getting picked off there, nothing you really do to stop it. Mixed target selection from Gamma and Anderson, not so great. Anderson being left alone gets himself killed. But then the decision to not utilize the full damage from Cavalry Charge, yes, you want some CC, but you have Gamma there as well to provide the disruption. Communication there, obviously on 2 different wavelengths from Gamma and Aquarius.
I feel like this whole team is kind of on different wavelengths for the Winterdogs, even after that game 1, because we saw Gamma chasing a kill onto Spreen and allow for this rotation of the solo lane to just kind of run, just kind of run at them as Andy runs at Spreen into the back line. I mean, he's diving into the back of their jungle. Big snipe in from Benny. He's able to tap Blugan. That forces the bat out of hell for Cope Baby. The blinding light from Benny Q. Now Gaijay is forced to beat the pillar. Almost perfect. The leap in with the disperse. And Benny Q finishes it with the final shot. Now turning it on its head. 2 kills on the board for Winterdogs. Ties up the scoreboard 4-4.
That was a fantastic. What was Andy even doing at the back camps? I've got no idea. But look at the ward. Look at the aggressive ward placement that Winterdogs have done on that left-hand side. There's just a smooth diagonal from the back camps all the way to purple buff in lane. They want to fight on this left-hand side, and there's good reason to. They have Onher over here. Benny Q can make his rotations there early. They want to be fighting around the Sobek, who's primarily an early game focused support. It's a good idea to play to their strengths of their composition here.
I mean, well, you ask what was Andy doing on that side of that. Clearly, the answer was killing Spreen. I mean, he's diving the back camp to kill Spreen. He has a target on his... I didn't realize that Thanatos' heartbeat applied over to Set at full health against enemy mages, because that's what it felt like. He just ran straight to back line and said, hey, I know that you're back here. I know you're doing these back camps, but I kind of want your life right now. And unfortunately, though, for Andy, even with that aggressive dive, he's still 2 levels behind Cope Baby. Those 3 kills in that early skirmish really built up a bit of an experience lead for the Tiburones jungler.
Yeah, and with one of the kills being onto Aquarius, who did have that first blood bounty on top of him, meant that he is just starting to become one of the focal points in this map. Wowie getting dove here. Cope Baby just unable to get a one-shot from Wowie. Kills Gaijay. Good trade there, considering he was dead to rights.
I mean, Gaijay dove under the tower. I don't expect him against an Onher to make it out of that one alive at level 9, or level 8, I'm sorry, is what he was at for that one. And no lifesteal either. Look at what he's picked up, AJ. He's gone for the Transcendence start, as opposed to a Devourer's Gauntlet.
That is what you will do on Karen. The fact that he has some innate sustain in his kit means you can almost box out quite well until you get that Assay online, and then by the time you get Assay online, you just become untradeable with at times if you are able to hit your abilities as the Karen. While we're going into the Devourer's Gauntlet, going the traditional build that we have seen before the nerf to crit, so I'd be interested to see whether he does keep this this arrow and goes into the upgrade later on if he decides to sell it.
Pre-9 minutes, both the Gorp and the Forp have now been taken, meaning 10 minutes we'll have that Fire Giant spawn as normal. Gold Fury's already up. Spear of Mortal Pain there by he just to immune the CC that came from the ultimate out of Aquarius. But he is taking the worst end of this trade, and so is Andy, as he gets poked out by Cope Baby.
We use the ult.
Cope stays through, but Kingslayer expended from Andy, expecting more of a fight from Cope Baby, and now that's going to go on cooldown.
Big ultimate there from Anderson. Good play by Kobe to force it. In fact, I don't even know why it's so easy. He was just a bit scared of the engagement, thought there were more people coming for the fact that Kobaby was there that early, but just expended for almost no reason there. And it's going to be down without that ultimate for a long time. Winter Dogs, their aggression going to be hindered by the fact that that is down for such a long cooldown. I'll be surprised to see if they look for an aggressive play until Lannister has that back up.
I think it was kind of a mental thing. Cope Baby was 2 levels up on him, and so Andy probably expected Cope to just want to fight him because of the level lead. And now he's not going to have the Kingslayer. Vampiric Bats are going to miss, however, so Andy will be fine. He'll get to heal up just a little bit. But I think it really just felt like a mental thing. Like, hey, enemy jungler, 2 levels up. All right, he's going to want to fight me. Pop Kingslayer. Oh, he didn't want to fight. Oh, well, this was a mistake.
And now he's just punished for it yet again. Aquarius putting the brunt end of it. Cope down to about half health, but Anderson backed up a bit too much to help out already. Back to base and buys up his next item, Dion's Wrath. So cooldown reduction available for that Kingslayer ultimate next time he has it up. Should allow for more consistent aggression.
Aquarius will stand strong into this solo lane. Picked up the Gladiator Shield. On the flip side, we do see Heed picking up the Stone of Gaia. Has become one of the common items of these solo laners. It feels that solo laners really just love this item. I mean, what's not to love about it, though, AJ? I mean, it's got a ton of health on it. The health regen. I mean, that alone to me spells, hey, I want to buy it on every god. But unfortunately, I have to do other things like, killing me players. So, they expect me to buy a bunch of damage when I play in the mid.
Yeah, the only time you can really get this item, though, is if you do go into the tank boots, because you are forfeiting going in for a physical defense item, which means that you still are quite squishy, even though you have a lot of health to play with.
Pyromancer, a couple of minutes after spawn, immediately Winter Dogs are able to pick that one up, put themselves to the tune of about 600 gold. That's it so far. Dead even game here at 11.5 minutes. 600 gold experience. Right on the nose. Despite the lead that Cope Baby has, the experience has kind of trailed off into other parts of the map. Andy just now tipping into level 11. Meanwhile, on the flip side of it, you do see that advantage kind of more towards the mid and duo lane that's holding it up there for Winter Dogs.
I was about to say, the left side of the map looks like it's doing extremely well here for Winter Dogs. As it was doing last game, Wowie just seems to be having the better macro game compared to Guy J here. Able to find himself a level, maybe half a level up compared to the Chiron. Last game, it was 2 levels, aided by the fact that there was some invades on the purple shore, but you still just don't get 2 levels off a couple purple buff invades. There has to be other farm elsewhere that you're getting.
Oracle Harpy split 1-1 there. Looks like Spreen was able to take one of those away. Wow, he's rotated into the middle of the fight. Now he's got to use the beads. Impale against Cope Baby. Big snipe onto the Guardian. Glugan's forced to use that revive. Benny Q's got the Celestial Beam right after to take him down. Gamma dives in, forces the beads off of Cope Baby. Giddy up, pushes Gamma into the back. Spreen trying to get some damage with the Percussive Storm combo with the Raiju. Gamma is low. He's caught in the middle of it all. He's using the red buff as a form of shield, but unfortunately, Spreen can go right over that red buff. They'll trade out 1-1.
1-1, both supports full, but it felt like it could have been a lot better there for Winter Dogs. Beads force off a couple of players. Cope Baby forced into the backline. Didn't have much of an impact that fight. Spreen definitely holding the fight on the back of his mantle there, but Gold Fury attempt here from Tiburones. Cope Baby looking around the corner. It's a bait. They're looking for a kill, and Benny Q's the mark.
Oh, big Aegis from Benny means that he doesn't die instantly. Instead, he only loses half of his health. Andy gonna throw out some spawns and a skewer, but nothing more beyond there, as Cope Baby's able to get back to the safety of the tower. And with that, a little bit of a lull in the action as it goes back to farming for Benny Q. He'll heal himself back up. Taking a look across the board for builds here, nothing too out of the ordinary. Again, the Charon's coins picked up by the mid laners. But one thing that I did notice here, Gamma didn't go for that benevolence that we've been seeing kind of being the more favorable. He's gone for the Sentinel's Gift instead.
I like this if he's going to go Blink. If you do go into the Benevolence and then go into the Compassion, and you have Blink, good luck getting it off anytime you're in a 5-man stack, because somebody from your team is taking Poke, even though you're telling them as support to back off and just let them Blink. So if you're going to go into a Blink aggressive support like the Sobek, like Ymir, like an aggressive ambush here from Tiburones, they're looking for Gamma.
Yeah, they're going to grab Gamma. Luckily for him, he's got the pluck, so he's able to get right back in. He dives into the back to push them further away. Blugan impaled against the pillar. He'll be well under half health And luckily for the Winter Dogs team, they've got 2 healers to make sure to keep their front line and their back line up and healthy. Andy takes a little bit of poke as well as Gamma during that one, but they're able to get topped off pretty quickly thanks to the help of Aqua and Benny. Now still kind of setting up around this Gold Fury. Andy's going to clear out some minions in the mid lane. It's going to be Winter Dogs who start up the Fury, just try to bait anybody forward. And it looks like they got Heed to make the first move. He's going to dive in aggressively with the Blink. Doesn't have that ultimate available until he gets into the transform state. Gonna throw that Warcry onto 3, flipped back into the pillar, 1-for-1 to start it out as Benny Q falls, make that wowie as well. Cope Baby with the bat out of hell. Now looking for Gamma, needs one more shot. The Vampire Bats misses, but the basic actor does not. Cope Baby cleans up 2 kills to make it 3 for the Sharks.
Thought that was going to be a terrible engagement of Tiburones, only finding Wowie with the Spirit of Mortal Pain, not what you want when you have that as your only form of engagement. Credit where credit is due. Tiburones take that fight perfectly, managed to find their priority target in Benny Q. He does enough to delay Wowie from joining the rest of the fight. Gamma even has to go over and help them out, and the rest of them just fall in line, dive onto Benny Q, get the kill, and Stir and Aquarius unable to make their marks on the fight, and Cope Baby picks himself up 2 more kills to find himself at 6-0.
6-0-3 on Cope. A little bit stronger of a startup for the Sharks jungler this time around. On a very high burst damage assassin. I would say even more so than the Ratatosker was. It's going to be pure selfishness and single target for him. No defensive options just yet as he's continuing his tree and just do more pure damage for this Camazotz.
Oh, Camazotz finding himself with 6, but also finding himself even with Anidster in levels. Not what you'd expect when somebody has all of the kills and somebody has only got 1 and died of 1 time alongside that. But just credit to Anidster, just able to farm up where he needs to.
Yeah, especially considering Cope had a level and a half lead on him one of the last times that we saw them kind of have that skirmish at the solo lane, you know. Well, that was when the mind game happened earlier on. It's, oh, he's level 10, I'm only level 8. I'm going to use Kingslayer because that means he wants to fight me. But now we're seeing this even level 15 trade out here. Anidster has been doing a little bit better on his farming game, or maybe Cope has just been doing a little bit worse on it. These kills have not really amounted much for them. Aquarius is going to go up onto the Mountain Cavalry. This return fire ultimate from Heat. He's going to get a root. A Warcry is soon to come afterwards. But Anidster is the one who makes the happenstance rotation to that right side. He gets grabbed by Blugan. Cope returns some damage onto him. Puts Andy well under half health.
Aquarius down about half health as well. That's opened up the opportunity for the Pyromancer here from Tiburones. This is more what I expected from them in game number 1. Just the constant grouping up, the pressure applied to where the rotations are happening, and it just means that they're able to squeeze these objectives in, even if they don't get these kills like Winter Dogs were forced to before they got objectives in the previous game.
Benny Q still holding strong to the mid lane, level 17 on the Raw, 17, nearly 18 minutes in now, so he's keeping up that experience, at least for his side of the map, where the rest of them starting to fall a little bit behind. Cope's got a slight lead. Guy J is level 17 to 16. But Benny Q's not foolish enough to stand up to 3 alone here at that mid-tier 1. He'll give it up while Wowie takes the one on the left side.
A bit of a difference in mid lane builds as we see both of them go for the Karen's Coin and the Power Boots, but the difference does then start. Benny Q not needing to worry about healing on the side of Tiburones, apart from maybe Guy J, but he's gone, he's dead. Cope Baby also got some healing in his kit, but not going in for the Divine Ruin like Spreen has done. Benny Q's gone in for the Spear of Desolation, just to make sure that he has some extra cooldowns available, get that heal up as often as possible.
Oh, big blink ult in by Heat. He grabs 2 with it, and that's going to force a retreat on the side of Winter Dogs. Impaled by Wowie. Not going to find anything there. Purification beads by Benny Q to make sure he doesn't get rooted out or pushed by Heat. They'll be able to push the solo laner back while Cope took the worst end of the trade amongst the fruits of the fight. Winter Dogs not able to get that tier 1 tower, but able to get a nice pick on the Guy J.
Yeah, and it sort of slows down Tiburones a little bit. The fact that they've had to play on the defensive just once, can play a tiny bit on the mindset, means you go, okay, they can kill us. We have to be a bit more careful in fights. Guy J's a bit further behind now. We have to be a bit more careful about Wowie, maybe prioritize him a bit more. It just starts a discussion that can then slow down the pace of the game, especially when you are only ahead by a few thousand or a few hundred gold.
Well, looking across the way right now, last time they had a couple of anti-heal items that came out for Aquarius on this Guan Yu. And looking at the graphs as well, 1,000 whatnot. But look how much anti-heal has already been picked up by Tiburones this time around. Pestilence, Brawler's Beatsig, Divine Ruin, and a Cursed Ankh all picked up. 4 anti-heal items to deal with this. Oh yeah, upgraded Ankh at that.
And don't forget, the upgrade means that if they do heal whilst that's applied to them, they take 20% extra damage for the rest of the duration that it's applied to them, which can be up to 10 seconds. Do you know how long it takes for 10 seconds to pass its smite? It feels like an eternity, especially if you're taking 20% extra damage. You're just pretty much dead if you heal, so BennyQ has to be very careful about when he places his heal. Aquarius has to be careful of the trigger finger of his one. A disciplined one, you will make sure that you never have that procced. But it does mean that you do not have that healing available for 10 seconds.
They are just full committing on to Guy J. They're going to get off with the activation of that ultimate from Blugan. So for now, Guy J will get to live. I can't say the same for Heat. He's dove on into the middle of the back line there. 3 of them spree now up into the Taiko drums. Ultimate from BennyQ off the mark. And that's the trigger finger for the Tiburones Sharks to go in. However, Heat is going to fall down to Gamma. They make it a 1-1. McCope Baby with the Bat of the Hell. And Guy J with the Centaurus shots will take down Andenster. Aqua and Gamma into the back line. They're trying to run away. They got BennyQ for some assisted heals. A nice little Soul Gem proc. We'll get an extra heal on top for them. Aquarius managed to find Blugan in the fray of all of it. BennyQ with a beam will pick up another one. Now it's 2 versus 2. Aquarius standing in the middle, snipe off the mark, but Aquarius doesn't need the snipe. He's got his own damage at hand. Cope Baby falls and maybe gonna go for a deicide onto it. Gets a stun onto Spreen, and a heal means a triple kill for Aquarius and a deicide on the side of the Winter Dogs.
Huge fight from Aquarius. Starts off with the cavalry charge, ends it with the cavalry charge. That cooldown is way too short. Someone please have a look at it, but well played there from BennyQ and Aquarius to get out with their lives. Guy J comes back into the fight despite the fact he was 1 or 2 health, just because he got away with Blugan Scarab's Blessing, but one by one they fall to the 2 healers. They just can't deal with it, even with the amount of anti-healing that they've got. The second 1 or 2 pieces of that anti-heal puzzle fall to the side, the healing just takes too much for them to get past.
Look, even Guy J's picked up another anti-heal as well. A second Brawler's Beatstick online because they just need it at this point. 2 healers living at the end of it all. Fire Giant started up, and Fire Giant quickly take it before the Ring of Fire even comes through. Winter Dogs pick up the big objective on the map and have now tied up this game. 500-600 gold separate these 2 teams. And at this point of the game, that is really a non-factor. 3K experience, however, is still a bit bigger of a factor.
Also, good luck catching BennyQ now. He's got 7 stacks on his Charon's coin. Pretty much, you have a 50-50 shot at it being max 8% movement speed. On top of his passive movement speed, he is zooming around the map and zooming around these team fights. It is very difficult to lock this Ra down.
And add an Oni Fury to boot with that one. Winter Dogs continue to push that lead forward. Sentinel's Embrace picked up there by Gamma on his back to base. A fully upgraded Blink or a fully upgraded Sunder on top of that as well. So anybody that he managed to get that pluck with, you might as well kiss their life goodbye once they land on the back end of it.
So it's up to Winter Dogs now that they got the Fire Giant. 2 minutes left on it to find themselves some objectives and find themselves some gold to make use out of it. I'd start over on this right-hand side, Tier 1 tower. Nice, easy start for them. Could go for the Tier 2 tower and then fall back into the jungle to go for the Pyromancer. Or just, go for the Pyromancer straight away. You're not like you're going to want to get out of base quicker to push some more objectives afterwards.
Alright, so Adrian, you got 5 anti-heal items on your team. You're staring down a Ra and a Guan Yu, now pushing down pretty much, I imagine, every structure in the map. How do you defend against this when they start pushing down your Phoenixes?
Switch out a few of your relics to have 5 blinks and just 5-man dive onto BennyQ before he even knows what's happening.
Okay, so what can they realistically do? Because unfortunately, we don't have the ability to get rid of those things for a blink.
They have to just hope that they engage once that curse comes out. But see, the Ankh has been used, and the engage is just not happening. That's a wasted relic at this point. They might as well just have 9 relics if that's how they're going to be using it, just to force them to back off of the Phoenix. No, they need to fight once that comes out.
Well, they do manage to keep the Phoenix alive for the time being. Unfortunately for them, the healing doesn't matter, and BennyQ's just going to make sure that Wowie gets a little bit of extra health. The lifesteal on top of that, and Wowie is back up to full health. It's like the fight never even happened. And what do they lose out of it? Nothing on the side of Winter Dogs. Every single... Well, I guess they lose Gamma's 2 relics, but those are purely single target based. Cope Baby, he takes a big shot there for BennyQ. Celestial Beam just off the mark, just a little shy. But the Phoenix is still crippled here. I mean, it's sitting barely at 15-20% health. They're going to be able to walk in and grab it, no problem. Wowie will walk in for the extra damage onto it. Celestial Beam onto Heat as he dives through Snipe onto Blugan, forces the revive out early on top of himself. But it's going to go wasted because nobody's caring about Blugan. They care about Heat, who's diving in the back line, falls down to the pluck on Gamma, and the follow-up damage from Andy. Vampire Bats from Cope will put some big damage on Annenster. But again, they have a Raw, they have a Guan Yu. They'll heal it right back up, take that Phoenix, and the fight was all for naught. Gamma down low, and that will finally be the disengage for the Winter Dogs for the time being, I imagine. Gamma's still kind of sticking around here as they rotate mid.
That was a very aggressive heal place from there for BennyQ, almost tempting them to engage onto Gamma again, like tasty little shark bait. But into the tier 2 tower mid they go. Fire Giant and round that waits for another 15 seconds. This should be the final structure that they'll be able to take with it, unless they push in now for the mid Phoenix.
Looking for the mid Phoenix, and again, like the fights never even happened between Fire Giant and 2 healers. Gamma went from being at about 10% health in that last engagement to now being 3/4 health. Oh, and 2 more towers to boot with it on top of that one. So they get all 3 tier 2s, a tier 1, and a Phoenix with this 1 Fire Giant push. Talk about a massive gold swing in favor of Winter Dogs. Before, they were only about maybe 800 gold up. Now they're staring at a lead of nearly 6,000. Still very relevant, as well as not everybody on the map has fully built up their items just yet. Only the mid laner has a full build online, and that's just the nature of BennyQ. He's been well and ahead of the farm for his team.
Yeah, Rod of Asclepius has been added to the build as well. If you thought that healing was insane before, now 20% extra on top of that. It also helps negate some of the anti-healing that's coming out from the Tiburones. The Divine Ruin, the Brawl Speed Stick, the Pestilences. The Pestilence is basically negated here in terms of its passive, just a little bit extra on top.
Well, not just that. I mean, let's be real. The real MVP of that Rod of Asclepius isn't the extra healing. It's that movement speed that he's going to get on top of the Charon's coin movement speed, on top of the speed of light passive from the Rod. Yeah, good luck actually catching BennyQ if you're trying to run at him. Unless you are expending blinks and every single mobility you have, you're not catching BennyQ anytime soon. He'll drop into the back line. There's the blink engage from Heed. Immediately, BennyQ will back away and put a lot of damage into Heed between him and Wowie.
That's
that
the curse
root
again.
In place, doing so much damage onto a Gamma in the back. Well under half health. He's pushed away by the enemy team. And that'll be a quick back off. But again, Cursed Ankh expended all willy-nilly in the middle of the fight. They're just going to be able to heal that back up. No problem. Gamma's going to walk under the heal. He's not too worried about the damage from Tiburones just yet. Blugan dives in aggressively. Big snipe, guys. Yay, down to 1/4 health. Blugan almost taken out. They're trying to break that revive bubble for him for the movement speed. Keep him alive just a little bit longer. A good pluck. Onto Heat, throws him into the back line of 3. Gamma is still chasing down Blugan, and the rest of the team chasing down Heed. The pillar stops him in his tracks. BennyQ seals the deal, and right back to the Fire Giant goes the Winter Dogs.
Again, Blugan just whiffing that relic once more. It just defies comprehension that this is a relic that you need to use in the middle of a team fight, and you're using it towards the tail end of one. And I don't know, just needs to be better use of this relic, needs to be better coordination for the Tiburones in these team fights to deal with this healing, because right now it's disjointed at best.
And by the way, BennyQ's ult back up despite the fact that the fight just happened like 30 seconds ago. He already got a big snipe on Guy J earlier on. Phoenix is falling fast, and it will be taken down. That's 2 off the board. One more to go. The right side one will respawn shortly, but there's 2 waves of fire minions about to push up close to it. Benny Q just executed Guy J. And that's going to be the end of his life. 50 seconds in the fountain. They've lost a huge chunk of their damage. Left side Phoenix doesn't stand a chance. Melted faster than Guy J was. And now in a 5v4 defense, that right side Phoenix comes back up. And I'm sure they're not too concerned about it. By the way, Benny Q's ultimate will be back up in just a few more seconds. 30% cooldown reduction. I'm sorry, 40% cooldown reduction is going to allow him to just get that back up in like another 7-8 seconds. I'm sure they're just waiting for Gamma's big pluck to make the execute off that. Look, it is already back up. Blugan forced out of the revive. Benny Q setting himself up for another potential snipe. The Titan has been exposed, looking for that searing pain, but Benny's not electing to fire it off just yet. In fact, he's falling low. Spreen gonna get the kill, but unfortunately for Tiburones, the Titan was the primary target. And the Winter Dogs, with an upset here, take down the 2nd seed.
Yeah, they put themselves in a very good position to find themselves to secure 4th seed. Don't forget, they have a matchup against the other 4th seeded team next week, Average Joes versus Winter Dogs. You don't even missing that one. But Tiburones, that ends their quest for 1st seed. They're going to have to settle for a secured 2nd seed now. Commiserations to them, but amazing performance by Winter Dogs.
Yeah, Winter Dogs able to take down the 2nd seed in a quick 2-0 fashion. We'll break down that game here in just a few minutes.
Instead, I'm alone and completely unsure. And even though you're screaming out with the best of intentions, I don't get it. Why do you always gotta ask me to stay? Why you always gotta go? Playing house, this ain't a home with your soul on the road. Say, why you always gotta go? Playing house, this ain't a home with your soul on the road. See, I've been lost in my thoughts, and my thoughts they too scared to usher off. Sorry, Mom, I just thought you were my world. Now you're not. And I'm just sitting, smoking, sloping in the days, cause my days ain't been the same since I drove here. I remember the way you wrote letters in blue ink. You and me was in love. Look at what your crew think. I know your moms probably think I'm a bastard. Your pops probably wanna beat my to death and take a in my casket. But I got sick of fighting, bickering, fussing over nothing, cussing. Instead of watching the death of discussions that we once had, days that we once spent in the backseat of our cars, reading poets at sunset. It's funny how love can fall out the foreground, get pushed into the back of your mind. We used to twist a spliff and laugh and relax. Now you crying, and I'm trying to find the reasons. So I ask, does forever ever happen, or is it always fade to black? I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul on the road. I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul on the road.
How you gon' lie when you look me in my eyes and you show me a facade? Show me a facade. How you gon' lie when you look me in my eyes and you show me a facade? Show me a facade. You a lie. You a front. You say anything long as you get what you want. Tryna play me like a fool, homie, I am not a clown. It ain't nothing but a game, cause all you do is mess around. Now I'm on the verge of a meltdown. Meltdown, meltdown. I should've known when I met her back at Midtown, at Dogwood, when I was going through a rough patch, but it's all good. I even told about the dark times I had in childhood when we was driving off of I-10 in Kirkwood. Now all that time I never get it back. You wanted that, used to hate when I didn't wanna hang. I noticed that, used to talking about your ex, Jake, with your next Jack. Used to messing with them white boys, now she went black. Wait a minute, guess you went and got yourself a real life. Got yourself some booty shots and lip filler. You just wanna make a rapper beat like Dilla. You ain't nothing nice, radiators. Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go. And just go, and just float. How you gonna lie when you looking in my eyes and you say you down for the cause, but you really here for the ride? You ain't really feeding no sheep. You're a K9 in disguise. Shoulda never gave you nothing but a funky high five. I know we can't go back in time, but I wish I could rewind and get back all that money that I spent every nickel and dime.
And with that set, AJ, a 2-0 in favor of the Winter Dogs. I don't think that's something that we were expecting to say here, considering the Sharks were the number 2 seed coming into this match. But with that one, the Winter Dogs put themselves in a 3-win victory so far here into the split and push themselves up to that 4th seed. AJ, we got to kind of look back onto this game, though. Benny Q was kind of the name that we talked about in Game 1. Game 2, a little bit of the same, but maybe not quite as heavily.
No, but you can't overlook the fact that he had a massive impact with the fact that he was a primary focus from the Sharks, and again, they couldn't really kill him, akin to game number 1. But Adid still had a fantastic amount of impact in the early game, while we were able to find a monumental kill there in a 2 versus 1 where he was dead in less than 5 seconds. But Aquarius has to be the standout player for me from this game. The fact that he got that first blood solo kill onto Heed, kept the rest of his team quite well topped up and alive, got those prot shreds off at key moments, finds himself a triple kill in a key fight here as well. It just was Aquarius and Benny Q running the show this game.
Yeah, I mean, the healers were just too strong, and despite the fact they built 5 forms of anti-heal, it still wasn't enough to deal with it just because they weren't able to apply it very well. Here we get to see the solo kill we kind of missed here. Celestial Beam, and he just threw that out there. He just threw that out there and 2-tapped the enemy hunter at the late stage. I mean, that's what you want to do is just kill there. But I mean, yeah, well, if he would have done that blind, that would have just been like play of the year for me, honestly. But with a little bit of vision there, able to get that quick 2-tap and really seal the deal here for the Winter Dogs team. Able to come out on top. You see 24,000 damage for Benny Q and about 16,000 total healing between the two onto them. As we go ahead, AJ, and take a look here very shortly into the schedule and standings coming up, Winter Dogs make a very early name for themselves in this matchup.
Yeah, Winter Dogs put themselves up at 3-6. Average Joe's their opponent next week, 2-6. Average Joe's taking on Fishies later on in the week. You would expect Average Joe's to take the win there, so all to play for in that final week matchup for 4th seed between Winter Dogs and Average Joe's. Tiburones condemned to a 2nd seed finish. I say condemned. Most teams would be happy with a 2nd seed finish. Sturdy Artisans confirmed 1st seed now because of the fact that they really shouldn't be dropping down. I mean, they still have the opportunity to lose 2 sets, but I doubt it. As you can see, later on in the week, they take on the Herculean Who's. And don't forget, Saturday, triple threat of SCC action. Clay Soldiers versus Pandemonium going to be your first set before the SPL. Then after the SPL, Snake Hunters versus Elysium and Average Joe's versus Fishies is going to round out your day.
Yeah, I mean, right now, this is a very competitive scene that we're seeing amongst the SCC. It may not quite look like it, but I mean, when you see the number 2 seed dropping to the number, at the time, 5th seed of this one, even though those standings have a pretty much wider gap, it's still a lot closer than we imagine here in the SCC. But the SCC isn't all that's going on today, AJ. There's something that's coming up here in just a few minutes here. The SPL kicking off with the Bolts. The Bolts and the Valkyries, I believe, is going to be our first matchup for the day. Bolts really looking to continue their rise amongst the ranks. The Valkyries kind of been struggling a little bit onto it. Maybe an alternate timeline for themselves, so we'd see the Valkyries a little bit higher up onto the roster for it. But, I mean, I'm excited to see this SPL. We still have it going through, and you guys will see it in just a few minutes. Hopefully time is better for you. We all know it's a construct onto it. We'll be back with the SPL in about 20 minutes.